Good day, my name is Bluesuit and today I'll be going over my review of the spacefaring ship management sci-fi roguelike known as Trigon Space Story. In Trigon Space Story, you take control of a starship belonging to one of 4 races as you make your way through the game's main stories. Each one focuses on a particular race, from humans, the Atari, the Rocky, and the Terticon. And while they're only vaguely connected, they all take place in the same overworld galaxy map that you'll be traversing. None of the stories are particularly engaging, as they're all told through the limited space of small text boxes. I definitely would have liked to see better stories here, as it's a requirement to get through all 4 chapters before you are allowed the freedom of free play mode. Each one will take you about 3 to 5 hours depending on how much side content you dig your hands into, and I was pleasantly surprised at how different each one felt in terms of gameplay. When you begin each of these chapters, you're given a set crew. You can change their names, but that's about it. The humans begin with a pilot and an engineer, but I was glad to see that the Atari began with much more offensive team of the weapons operator and a shield operator, giving you significantly more fighting power in the early game. If you didn't know, Trigon Space Story is definitely a roguelike, and heavily inspired by Faster Than Light, so the race you begin as will have a big impact on how you scale your ship through your runs. When you first begin a run, you're put in a random system within one of the sectors of the galaxy map. From here, you'll burn fuel and food to fly to each of the nodes and discover what's there. Sometimes it's a cool side quest or some loot. Sometimes it's an enemy ship or 2 hoping to blast you out of space, and sometimes it's just nothing but a bunch of asteroids threatening to punch a hole in your ship. Your job is to follow the main quest of each race to its conclusion and try not to die along the way. If you're new to this type of game, there's going to be a bit of a learning curve, especially when it comes to combat. You can have up to 4 weapons equipped from a huge pool of about 100 different ones. When the fighting starts, you'll use your weapons to target the different sectors of the enemy ship for various results. Targeting the enemy bridge can disable their ability to evade your attacks, while targeting their weapon systems can leave them helpless against you. Most ships will have a shield and a hull, and some weapons are good at tearing down shields, ripping apart the ship, or just torching the crew. In my first successful run, I used 4 of the same weapons, and I think I made it a lot harder on myself. Using a variety of different weapon types in my second run made it way easier to take down enemies that I couldn't before. And while you can run away from a fight most of the time, it's really easy to find yourself way over your head against an enemy with a lot higher stats than yours. And even if you do get away, you're usually spending a lot of resources on repairs. Outside of the vast array of weapons, there are a couple other ways you can upgrade your ship. The first is by recruiting new crew members at the local space bars. They're always super expensive, but filling the right empty slot in your crew can be a huge power boost. Suddenly having a medic on your team that can passively heal their crewmates can be a boon to teams that didn't have one before. The second way is by physically upgrading your ship, allowing you stronger shields, more weapon slots, or higher evasion, just to name a few. You can make these upgrades through the credits and spare parts that you earn in your travels, but they are costly and can get very grindy if you're not efficient in combat and you're spending all your money on repairs. Fortunately, you can control the flow of combat here by slowing down, speeding up, or even pausing time to make sure you're making the right decisions in these hectic fights. The last part about combat that I want to bring up is actually managing your crew. As they level up, they can learn passive and active skills that can really turn the tide of battle. And you can save their current crew location, so when you're moving them through your ship during a fight to repair and heal and use their abilities, it's really easy to just reset their position on the ship when things have calmed back down. Trigon Space Story has been a really fun and addicting experience. And if you're a fan of Faster Than Light, then you should know that this is basically the exact same game with better graphics. But there is a pretty glaring downside to it right now, and that's in the amount of bugs. If you've been following this game for as long as I have, you know that it's been in delay for about a year, and it's pretty disappointing to still see this many bugs even now. I will say the majority of them are minor, cosmetic bugs, and I haven't had any crashes, but the longer you play, it seems like they're everywhere you look. Many tooltips aren't complete or they don't work right. The math on your power management meters sometimes doesn't add up right. Occasionally you'll just lose some functions on your keyboard until you restart the game. And there are even things that are explained to you in the tutorial that you can't actually do in the game, like looking at your crew member stats. Personally, I've been able to overlook them because I'm having so much fun with the gameplay loop, but little by little it does erode my enthusiasm for an otherwise solid experience. The other thing is that there's this really useful encyclopedia in the game, but it's only accessible from the main menu. So if you want to look at it, you have to exit the game to go check what weapons, ships, and skills that you have unlocked. You can pick up Trigon Space Story when it launches on April 28th, 2022. Back in February of 21, they mentioned that their target price was $20. I'm sure a lot has changed, and as of the time of this review, a firm price hasn't been announced, but that's a hard sell when you can get Faster Than Light for $10. That being said, regardless of how you feel about ripoffs, this is still a really fun game with nice visuals and sound and a formula that's been proven to work with some ugly bugs lying under the surface. So I'm valuing Trigon Space Story at $16, and I recommend it to anyone interested in a sci-fi management roguelike, but I'd say wait a few patches for some of its issues to get ironed out. I hope you enjoyed this review of Trigon Space Story. Come see me on Twitch where you can watch our reviews in progress. As always, don't forget to like, subscribe, and let me know in the comments what you thought about it. Until next time.